Last week, we started to look at cognitive biases which impact your decision making for good or worse. Maybe you saw that, 7 cognitive biases, that's quite a lot to deal with. Well, there are a few more that we're going to go through today. In this video, I will share with you another 7 cognitive biases that we all experience in life every day, where they come from, and also how you can use them to be much better at powerful decisions in your life. My name is Greg Angelbert. I've had about a 20-year corporate career when I went from being a trainee to eventually a managing director, vice president. And I went from managing just one person, myself, to eventually about 1,000 people. Today I'm a master coach helping people, teams and organizations to know themselves, to design their future self, and to become their future selves. Let's be honest with ourselves. We are overconfident. If you ask a room full of people whether or not they are below or above average with their driving skills, 90% of the people will say that they are above. That doesn't add up. And we apply that to objects too. Once we own something, it significantly has more value according to us. We tend to have an inflated view of our abilities, which leads to overconfidence and a lack of critical self-assessment. That means we are blind to our limitations and areas of improvement. That's not great for behavior change. And a close cousin to excessive self-regard is over-optimism. We tend to be foolishly optimistic without really understanding the underlying risks, which leads to being overconfident about how we can control future outcomes. This is particularly true for investments that we make. To buy high and sell low is a nasty combination of over-optimism for the asset that you're buying in the first place, and then later pain avoidance when you want to sell it and you sell it at the lowest point possible. What can you do about and with those biases? Be careful who you surround yourself with. Because of our high self-regard, we tend to prefer having people which are mirroring us, which are the same as us. And that's particularly true if you're recruiting someone. So surround yourself with people who might have similar values, but they will have very different personality traits and beliefs. Also make sure that you limit the importance of face-to-face interaction when you're actually trying to assess someone. Find a way to measure their record as a person. Learn to question your self-regard with feedback from other people around you, particularly from people who are not afraid to tell you the truth, people you can trust. If you want to learn more about how to powerfully ask for feedback, check this out. Find ways to measure probabilities of outcome for the things that you feel the most confident with, and also the things that you're the most over-optimistic about. One of the best ways to manage self-regard and your ego is to work on trust, building trust with others. To be trusted, you need to be able to demonstrate integrity, humility, and results, which are essential to keep track of your self-regard, your ego. This will allow you to ground yourself. If you want to learn more, check this out. There is another side of the coin, is when you excessively beat yourself up and you have a lot of pessimism about life. The remedies are the same as what we've talked about before, except that the goal is different. Here you surround yourself with positive people who appreciate you and are going to give you good feedback, positive feedback, and who are optimistic. And go look for positive feedback about yourself, about your strengths, about how the outcomes that you're looking in life can actually be positive. And again, build trust. It will help you build self-esteem. We are social animals, which means that we are very much wired to be taking a number of decisions based on simply what other people do. This is because of our need for belonging, and also because we want to have less ambiguity in our life. If you look at something green, for instance, but enough people around you tell you that it's blue, it's blue, it's blue, eventually you are going to question your own reality. Attached to that is our natural tendency to twaddle, which is basically to talk out of our bottoms. We express strong opinions about things that we don't really know much about. That means that we can be submerged by convincing non-factual information that is flowing around us, and that impacts negatively our decision-making process. So what can you do about and with those biases? Pay attention to your stress level or uncertainty when you want to take decisions. We're most likely to follow the herd when we are feeling stressed when we want to make decisions. Learn to ignore the examples from the others when they are wrong. That demands spending time for finding quality data so you can make a more informed judgment. Find communities where social proof works, where people are talking about facts and where you can see that there is demonstrated trust between members. And also take yourself out of social circles which are not according to your values and not aligned with the goals, the things that you want to achieve in your life. Surround yourself with people who are taking time to express their opinions. They don't do it too fast, and they always express their opinion in a measured way. And if you have a business, pay particular attention to your rating, because customer trust other customers. Foster and display good behaviors that you want to see all around you. People might just follow you. We have limited attention. We can't register everything that we hear, we feel, we smell, we see, otherwise we would be completely overwhelmed. Our automated brain decides what we should be paying attention to. One way it does that is to notice contrast in our environment. I'm sure that got your attention. Which means that we emphasize recent changes in our environment rather than assessing the actual value of those changes. A simple quote from Philip Fisher summarizes this. The stock market is filled with individuals who know the price of everything, but the value of nothing. That's why we can be shown a high price, and then just after that a discount, and we feel it's a good price. But is it a good price in the first place? Is it something that we value paying at that level? Or what happens during wars or in certain crisis situations where progressively people start to do things which are worse and worse that they would never think that they would do, because all of this is happening progressively. So what can you do about and with this bias? Train yourself to notice small progressive changes in your environment. You can stop bad chain reactions before they happen, and you can encourage positive chain reactions. Know yourself, your values, and your red lines so you can constantly assess the environment and see if you're crossing something that you don't want to do. And this might also lead you to dramatic changes once you feel that enough change has happened. Change happens very slowly, then suddenly. Remember to look at the absolute value of what you have compared to what you want in your life. This salary increase might not be that big, but are you satisfied overall with the level of your salary for what you need? Build your habits with tiny little changes, because they will add up to a lot over time. Stress is not necessarily something bad. It can help us focus as long as we hit the stress sweet spot. Though too much stress destroys our capacity for sound decisions. More than that, it can also make us lose perspective on what matters to us in life. Most of the mistakes that I've made with my investments, for instance in my life, have been linked to excessive level of stress mixed with other cognitive biases like being over-optimistic or avoiding pain. And one of the key rules that I've adopted for myself is not to take any serious decision after noon, because I know that my capacity for good judgment is significantly reduced as the day goes along. So what can you do about and with this bias? Be aware of what's going on within you. If you're constantly on the run, excited, it probably means that you have a high level of adrenaline pumping inside you all the time. So take a conscious effort to slow down. Meditate. It's very effective with regards to emotional regulation. And you can do this informally. You can just notice the tasks that you do which are putting you in some sort of trance. For me, it's washing the dishes. And also I use guided meditation 10 minutes a day. Get some rest. Sound sleep is the most important aspect for resetting the stress clock. That means regular bedtimes, a quiet room, a dark room, and also with a cool temperature. That's the ideal way of sleeping well. You like this video so far? Then you know what to do, and subscribe to the channel, also put the notifications on if you want to receive content like this every week. And check out in the description all the resources about how you can manage cognitive biases. Some things are more available to you than others. If you're in a supermarket, you will notice that what the supermarket would like you to buy is usually at eye level, or at the eye level of your kids. That does not mean it is the best choice for you. As Frank Sinatra said, when I'm not near the girl I love the girl I'm near. For information sharing, it basically means that in group environments, simple explanations on complex topics become mainstream, even if they're wrong. The wisdom of the crowd can be that wisdom, or it can be foolish. So what can you do about and with this bias? Recognize when a piece of information, a product, etc. is presented in a way which is visually or emotionally very powerful to you. Be particularly wary of social media. Brainstorm all the possibilities about a topic instead of focusing on your initial conclusion. Look for evidence that will disprove what you have already established as a truth. And make sure that you have people around you who are constantly challenging any group think. If you're in a position of power, make sure that you let other people speak before you do and you influence them. Related to this last point, we tend to defer to authority figures without critically evaluating their recommendations. This used to be useful a long time ago in ancestral time when we were living in small communities and we need to take some big decision and we don't have time to really discuss everything. For instance, for most of my life, I've been following doctor's orders without so much as asking any question, or very, very few. It is like I'm having my rationality suspended the minute I see a doctor, compared to other moments where I would be probing everything. What can you do about and with this bias? Be aware of why you respect somebody's opinion. Is it because of a position of power they have? Or a deep piece of knowledge that they're supposed to have? How can you check that their authority is deserved and that you should respect it? Also, always check back with your core values when you feel that you're respecting automatically somebody. Is what you're receiving from that person something which is according to your core values? And if you're hiring people, be careful about dominant authority figures that you might put in key roles. We want to do things when we know that there is a reason for it. There is a famous study from the 1970s with Ellen Langer from Harvard, where she asked for jumping the queue to make copies at a Xerox machine. So she used different people for the research, and they asked 3 different types of questions to see what would be the different answers that they would get. The first one was, "Excuse me, I have 5 pages, may I use a Xerox machine?" This resulted in 60% of the people accepting for the person to jump ahead of them. The second one was, "Excuse me, I have 5 pages, may I use a Xerox machine because I have to make copies?" Here we get to 93% compliance of people letting the other person jump the queue. And finally the third option, which was, "Excuse me, I have 5 pages, may I use a Xerox machine because I'm in a rush?" Here 94% of people complied. So if you just put the word "because," it makes a big difference. What can you do about and with this bias? Give a reason for people to do what you're asking them to do. Know the reasons why you are actually performing a task. Do you really want to do it? Have you found a way for tasks that you have to do to link them to something that matters in your life? Pay attention to people who might be using this with you, with asking some small favors constantly and just giving you some small reason for it. The best way to manage cognitive biases is to have a checklist. It's a bit like pilots flying a plane. They have plenty of checklists that they use to make sure that they know what to do in most instances. There is a checklist from the book called Seeking Wisdom from Peter Bevlin that you might want to use. What is causing me to do this? What is the context? Can I judge the person? What is in the person's self-interest to do? What are the psychological tendencies and shortcuts that influence a person and can cause misjudgment? What are the consequences? What system would I like to have if the roles were reversed? Is this the right system for decision? If you recall from last week, the main common thread that there is between all those cognitive biases is the need for awareness. We're only victim of something if we're not aware of it. Once you're aware, you can act. I will leave you with a quote from Helen Keller, an American disability rights advocate. "The only thing worse than being blind is having sight, but no vision." If you're interested in more decision-making tools which help you to live the life that you want with strong and sound decision, then check out this video here about using mental models.